Part 13. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 121. Wolf Den. Shuemeng's office. With Xiao Ao's warning, Ye Bai can't continue to attack the Eternal Tower for the time being. He simply began to review his experience on the 10th level. The information in Ye Bai's hands was limited, and he had analyzed it by himself, so it was better to ask others. De Menzi, what rating did you pass on the 10th level? SS level. Shuemeng said with full confidence, but when he thought about it, there was a 5's level passer sitting in front of him, and he felt dull for a moment. Have you met the White Wolf King? You said that monster deep in the dungeon, why should I provoke him? Where's Dracula? I've never heard of this person, is there such a person? Shuemeng briefly recounted his experience of breaking through the 10th level. I refused the Earl's first embrace, and then was thrown into the dungeon, where I fought with the werewolves and gained their approval. Later, at the costume party, we killed the weak Marquis together and escaped from the castle through a secret passage with the remaining werewolves. Ye Bai immediately realized that something was wrong. Under the prompts of Eye of Insight, he pieced together the clues left by the previous strongest men and finally passed the level perfectly. Compared with Shuemeng, Ye Bai should have experienced a deeper story. The storyline of Evernight Castle is divided into one light and one dark. The bright line is the costume party, the feud between the Marquis and the low-level werewolf. The hidden thread is Dracula and the White Wolf King. Dracula III built the Evernight Castle to suppress the White Wolf King. The 100% exploration degree of the human camp requires Ye Bai to kill Dracula and destroy the Evernight Castle at the same time. Before me, my second brother actually achieved SSS level clearance, destroyed the castle, and killed Dracula. An idea flashed in Ye Bai's mind, and he immediately realized what the problem was. The secret line has a hidden condition: rescue the White Wolf King. Then everything makes sense. My second brother, the human camp, has passed the SSS level. According to the rules of the Eternal Tower, the Evernight Castle copy should be reset, just like I did when I was on the 3rd floor. Ye Bai made a fist with his right hand and hit it on his left palm, feeling very excited. The bad thing is that the second brother didn't act lightly and killed the White Wolf King too. In this way, although the second brother achieved SSS level clearance, the White Wolf King failed to be rescued, so the copy cannot be reset. White Wolf King, White Wolf King. Ye Bai silently recited the name, excited about his discovery. But what is so special about the White Wolf King? According to the known information, the White Wolf King is so powerful that even the adult three-headed dog King of Hell does not look down upon him, and he seems to know the legendary Hades. Ye Bai always felt that his clues were fragmented and he could not piece together any truth. It's like halfway through the road, it suddenly stops. Halfway through the charge, the network got stuck. Halfway through finding the derivative, I ran out of ink. There must be some details I missed. I saw Ye Bai thinking about the plot of the 10th floor. Shuemeng also helped me think and said whatever came to mind. I remembered something: my father and others had some speculations. The plots of all the 10x levels in Eternal Tower may be connected. Ye Bai was shocked. What? 10th floor, 20th floor, all levels with multiples of 10, have the same plot? If so, the White Wolf King may be related to the 20th floor. The first thing Ye Bai thought of was the 100th floor. It is known that all the strongest people are stuck on the 99th floor. If all the plots are connected, the 100th floor will also be included. Then Ye Bai thought of another thing. Something only he knows. Level 0. He was in the hidden level of the novice copy, the bronze door he had seen before, and the terrifying existence sealed under the bronze door. 0 is also a multiple of 10. This information may be more valuable than Ye Bai imagined. Ye Bai looked normal and asked, De Menzi, can you contact your father? I can contact both of them. Why, do you have something you want me to tell you? Xuemen became more energetic and said, one word of message is 100,000 gold coins. Haha, why don't you go and grab it? I'm just grabbing it. Yabai didn't say anything. When it comes to level 0, even if I need someone to take the lead, Master Ju is more suitable. Yabai asked tentatively. Can I meet the strongest nightmare? Nightmare, the most powerful person guarding Blue Star, should be the easiest to meet. With Yabai's current contribution to the human race, it is not difficult to meet the most powerful person. Xuemeng shook his head, no. My eldest father fought against the most powerful demon god, and since then, his condition has not been very good. After the rise of the second father, the eldest father never took action again, and his whereabouts became even more erratic. I can send a message, but I have no way of knowing the exact location of Big Daddy. Even the 9th level god of war has no authority to know this kind of secret related to the state of the most powerful person. Xuemeng mainly has a special status and knows more inside information than others. Yabai still doesn't give up. Second brother, I mean, where is your second father? Second father has been on the front line of the Abyss Plane. If the teleportation array wants to reach there directly, the weakest person who can pass through must be at the God of War level. If it's not direct, it's at least a week's journey. Xuemeng shrugged, this road is blocked. You are not the God of War, blame me. Yabai rubbed his temples and said distressedly. In other words, if I want to meet the most powerful person, I can only meet Xiaoyao. He really doesn't want to turn into a dog. No, you won't see any of them. Xuemeng looked strange. Old Master Wei asked me to send a message before. I won't see you until the war ends in 2 days. What happened to this old Taoist priest? The prophet finally made him understand. Yabai frowned and heard another meaning. That is to say, the strongest Xiaoyao wants to see me after the roll call battle is over. It can be understood this way. Yabai took out another bottle of beer from his bag, filled it for himself, and sighed. There are mysteries that I can't understand one after another. Let's talk about the ones I can understand now. Whether it was the 10th level, the 0 level, or the most powerful person, Yabai would only be mentally exhausted if he thought too much. It's better to use your energy in more practical places. What information do you know about this war? The battle in 2 days' time is already a certainty. Yabai needs to know more information in order to survive better. The demon god is also prepared. We have been fighting each other for so many years, and we all know our strengths well, and we will not take risks easily. As far as I know, at least 2 demon gods will participate in this battle. Xuemeng counted on his fingers. The 4th demon god and the 6th demon god. Having said this, Xuemeng slapped his head. By the way, I forgot to tell you. The 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 6th demon sects have all been eradicated. Uncle Ju and I moved together without leaving any tail. Hiss. Yabai took a deep breath after hearing the latest news. A glimpse of the leopard shows that the strongest people are playing a big game this time, and I am afraid it is not just as simple as the 2 demon gods. In this war, Yabai's most important task is to survive. Obviously, Xuemeng also knew about this. After a period of silence and fermentation, both sides are now ready to take action. Once the war begins, all the existing forces of the human race will be unleashed, leaving no room for maneuver. Shura, this is no joke. When the war begins, the Eternal Forest will definitely become the front line of the battlefield again. In fact, the demons are accumulating strength in order to invade Blue Star. Xuemeng said in a deep voice. We will keep all enemies above the God of War level outside the Blue Star, and those below the God of War level, in the worst possible situation, you may have to rely on yourself. No one knows Shura's true identity. The enemy doesn't know, and neither do our own people, including Shui-meng. There was one thing that Shui-meng didn't say, and both parties had a tacit understanding not to talk about it. The reason why the situation has reached this point is that the war is about to break out. In the final analysis, it is just because of the birth of one person, the most powerful seed Shura. In this battle, the human race is protecting Shura, and Shura is also the enemy's only target. Wherever Yebai is, there is a battlefield. You can't escape by running away. Is this a king-level enemy? Yebai pursed his lips slightly and whispered. If I kill the Demon War King at level 60, won't my second brother be embarrassed? The first time Wuhan took action in front of the world was when he killed the Demon War King at level 200. Level 60 Shura equals level 200 no trace. Shura 3 Henless. Trace equals the most powerful one. Shura equal 3 strongest ones equals Nightmare plus Wuhan plus Xiaoyao. Yes, arithmetic is never confused. Is there any problem with this equivalent substitution? No problem at all. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 122. Wolf Den. Unable to enter the Eternal Tower for the time being, Yebai had nothing else to do, so he began to sort out the gains from the strip. The blood essence of the vampire family, 19 drops for the Earl, 12 drops for the Duke, and 1 drop for the Prince. Prince's essence and blood are SSS grade materials, Duke's SS grade, and Earl's A grade materials. A false tooth appears in Yebai's hand, and the tooth contains the essence and blood of Dracula at his peak. Good stuff. Shui-meng glanced at it and took the initiative to introduce. The blood essence of vampires can enchant equipment. Enchanting it on weapons can obtain the blood-sucking effect. Enchanting it on other equipment can provide self-healing capabilities. Yebai nodded and had a plan in mind. It would be a waste to give this thing directly to Nightmare Wind. Nightmare Wind is very particular about eating, and only 1 drop is not enough for it to fit between its teeth. The blood essence of the Earls and Dukes can be sold, and the blood essence of the Prince can be considered to be enchanted with the power of nature. In addition to vampire essence and blood, when Yebai left, the White Wolf King also gave him 2 wolf teeth, which were also SSS level materials. Made the wolf fang into a knife, ahem, it won't happen, it won't happen. Yebai gave up this bold idea. According to the agreement between him and Wuhan, the demon forging master wanted to build a piece of equipment for Yebai. Since it is built for free, the higher the material level, the better. As long as you can't do it to death, do it to death. In addition to the blood essence and the teeth of the White Wolf King, Yebai also has the head of a vampire duke and a golden mask. After counting, Yebai stood up and prepared to move ore bricks to sell. I'm going to sell some mines. Come back and treat me to a drink. Shui-meng? You have a mine at home, and you still want me to buy you a drink? Am I rich? I only have 2 most powerful adoptive fathers. Before Shui-meng could refuse, Yebai had already left and headed for the mysterious mine. Next to the mysterious mine, the lizard brother is still basking in the moon. According to Yebai's instructions, its food has recently been reduced by 1/3. If anyone drinks and goes into the mines, Brother Lizard will give him a snack. Boss. The miner leader and the dwarf leader Xiaogu came up to him at the same time and took the initiative to report on their work. The output of raw ore is 15,000 tons of B grade, 12,000 tons of A grade, and 1,000 tons of S grade. We have given priority to refining high-grade raw ore, with 800 tons of S-grade ore and 8,000 tons of A-grade ore. The B-grade ore is temporarily unavailable for manpower and furnaces, and there is no output. According to Yebai's instructions, priority should be given to producing higher-grade ores, which is what the human race is currently lacking. After listening to the 2 people's reports, Yebai nodded slowly. I know, the manpower problem is easy to solve, but as for the stove, The super furnace is the reward for completing the eternal tower, and it is very efficient at smelting ore. If Yabai needs to start again, it will cause a waste of part of the ore. But if we don't do this, our production capacity cannot be expanded and our daily output will be limited. Crucially, building another stove costs money. Yabai reluctantly said, I will find a way to solve it. The S-grade finished ore is a rhombus-shaped transparent crystal the size of a baby's fist. Each one weighs 1 ton, making it very heavy to buy. Putting all the ores into the storage space, Yabai prepared to go to the trading secret realm to find the goblin brother. Boss. The dwarf leader Xiaogu hurriedly called Yabai to stop. What's the matter? Are you out of wine? No, that kind man named Xuemeng gave me more wine than I could drink in a year. He is such a good man. Xiaogu rubbed his thick palms, feeling a little embarrassed. Boss, we dwarves are not only smelting masters, but also good at forging. There are so many good ores that make my hands itch. Yabai raised his eyebrows. He forgot about it and asked. Can you forge SSS level equipment? Cannot. SS level. Xiaogu suppressed his blush, but finally shook his head, no. After saying that, he hurriedly added, S level is fine. Okay, I understand, we will make arrangements later. Even if Yabai doesn't use S-level equipment, he can still get a good price if he sells it to Wanwu Pavilion. In the production process, the more processing times, the greater the profit Yabai can make. This reason is not difficult to understand. Leaving the mysterious mine, in the secret trading area, the goblin boy is at your call. Congratulations, fourth brother. Zhao Qian, the master of the Wanwu Pavilion, is naturally qualified to know more inside information. The matter of passing the 5's level is by no means a trivial matter. To a certain extent, it took the 4 strongest men of the human race 100 years to reach the 10th level in 5's. Tongzi, let's take a look at the goods. A-grade ore costs 1 million gold coins per ton, and S-grade ore costs 5 million. The goblin boy has long been numb to the terrifying output of the mysterious mine. A-grade ore is 8 billion gold coins, S-grade ore is 4 billion, 12 billion gold coins, equivalent to 12,000 points of God of War merit. Just one day passed, and Yabai achieved a feat equivalent to killing 3 demon war gods. Including the previous 4,000 God of War merit points, the total is 16,000 points. You want to enchant a weapon with vampire blood. After hearing Shura's needs, the goblin boy nodded slowly. Yes, yes. 1 drop of prince-level blood essence requires 10 points of God of War merit. Yabai didn't hesitate, drain it. Brother, there is nothing else, my family has a mine, and I have plenty of money. Give me a hard spank. Don't worry about money for me. Ahem. There's no need to be like this. The goblin boy looked a little embarrassed, it was a bit too violent to drain him. Can you show me the weapon you need to enchant? Yabai took out the power of nature, add 4, and handed it to the goblin brother. As Yabai's trump card, the heavenly king's sword should not be shown to the outside world. Moreover, as an SS level weapon, the heavenly king's sword cannot accept this kind of enchantment. I have advanced 4 times. Even though he was mentally prepared, the goblin boy couldn't hide his shock when he saw the power of nature. After adjusting his mentality, he immediately introduced. It can be combined with 1 drop of ancestral essence blood and 36 drops of prince essence blood. This can increase the blood-sucking effect to more than 80%. No more, and the level of natural power will be unbearable. The blood essence of the blood ancestor requires 500 God of War merits, and the total cost is 860 merits. The enchantment fee is directly included in the materials. No problem, as soon as possible. Yabai spent 860 million gold coins without blinking an eye. Also, make a list of life-saving things, and I'll see which ones come in handy. For the upcoming battle, Yabai was not stingy. Not spending the money in your hands means you have no money in your hands. Only by converting money into resources and enhancing one's own strength can it be valuable. Just as Yabai was choosing life-saving props and equipment. An announcement, long overdue. Player Shuro level 5s clears the 10th floor and will be rewarded with the buff The Perfect Realm for all human races in the Eternal Tower. Permanent buff Friends of Werewolves, the Eternal Tower humans gain the favor of werewolves, and werewolves will not actively attack humans. Permanent buff Friends of the Vampires, the Eternal Tower human race will gain the favor of the vampire race, and the vampire race will not actively attack the humans. Permanent buff Non-My Race, Eternal Tower human race will cause add 30% damage to foreign races. The Realm of Perfection, when calculating the score of the Eternal Tower, if the exploration degree is not higher than 80%, the exploration degree will be add 10%. 4 buffs, all permanent buffs. The friendship between werewolves and vampires is only useful in special levels and can be used as a permanent buff. What else is there to choose from? Free prostitution. The key points are Non-My Kind and the Ultimate Realm. The former improves the overall output capability of the human race. Most of the monsters in the level are non-human, and the 30% extra damage is enough to change the outcome of a battle. Still a permanent buff. As for the Ultimate Realm, it is an absolute super buff. Add 10% exploration for everyone, its significance to the human race is indescribable. Yabai is still calm. The Perfect Realm means nothing to him. Less than 80% exploration? Sorry, I'm so unfamiliar. If you don't clear the 4's level, Yabai will feel sorry for the eternal blessing on him. The Goblin Boy couldn't keep calm and even started dancing and talking incoherently. This is really. The Ultimate Realm buff alone gave him the opportunity to reach higher levels. And the hero of all this is the 4th brother in front of me. In ecstasy, the Goblin Boy blurted out, I will buy the 4th brother's spending tonight. Snapped. Yabai checked off all the previous lists and placed them in front of the Goblin Boy. I don't have a choice, I want them all. This is what I've been waiting for. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 123. After killing the Goblin Brother severely, Yabai's pockets were full. Although the Goblin Brother appears as a goblin in the trading secret realm, he is a real human being. He became famous earlier than the strongest Xiaoao, and he became a 9th level war god very early. After Xiaoao's rise, he chose to follow Xiaoao and join the Wanwu Pavilion as the pavilion master. His position in the Wanwu Pavilion is like Yingju in Shadow and Xuemeng in Wolf Lair. It's just that the Wanwu Pavilion is more economically developed, and the money in the pavilion leader Zhao Qian's hands is a few 100 million points more than Xuemeng's, which is very reasonable. Even if Yabai prostituted a lot of things, to the Goblin Boy, it was just a drop in the bucket. When he thought of this, Yabai couldn't help but ask himself. Why can't I control my own hands? Why don't you get more? Is it because the storage space is not large enough, or because I have too much money? It took 860 God of War merits to give the power of nature to the pavilion of all things for enchantment. The advancement of the power of nature requires transplanting seeds. Please help me pay attention to the seed resources on the market. Yabai didn't forget about the advancement. He pointed to his card, which contained 15,140 God of War merit points. Not short of money. Understand. The Goblin Boy knew very well about the 4th brother's financial situation. As long as the family's 75 million tons of ore is not mined out, the 4th brother will open his eyes every day and the God of War's merits worth tens of thousands will be credited to his account. The joy of mining is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. After bidding farewell to his goblin brother, Yebai left the trading secret realm and returned to the wolf lair. He did not go to Xuemeng's office at the far end, but found a corner and sat down casually. "A glass of water, thank you." For the sake of his own health, Yebai stopped drinking. Men cannot be immersed in the anesthesia of alcohol and must be the master of their own consciousness. To celebrate Shura's 5's level clearance, Wanwu Pavilion sent a congratulatory message. "All tonight's consumption will be paid for by Mr. Zhao." Water was just brought to the table. The young lady at the front desk stood in front of fourth brother, and was in a dilemma for a moment. Yebai said very naturally, "Send the water to Xuemeng, and help me bring some beer, half cold and half room temperature, thank you. Do you have skewers here? I have a friend who wants to eat them." Soon, a barbecue family photo and a beer were delivered to Yebai. Yebai divided two of them to the shadow of the three-headed dog of hell and fulfilled his promise. "I was making skewers, drinking wine, waiting for my personal rewards to be distributed, and reviewing my journey to the 10th floor. You can get stuck once on the 10th floor, and the next time you get stuck at level 5s and pass, it will be on the 20th floor. The collective rewards for clearing level 5s are really powerful, but I generally can't use them and it gives me a headache. Take the first level human reward Guardian Angel as an example. It is really powerful to give everyone a layer of resurrection armor in the Eternal Tower. But after so many days, Yebai never died once. What is resurrection armor and is it useful? Alas, sometimes being too strong may not be a good thing. Yebai can only hope that the 5's level personal rewards can be more generous to make up for his losses. Time passed by, and there were more and more people in the wolf lair. Yebai even saw a familiar figure appearing at the door of the wolf lair. "Is this the wolf's den?" Zhao Lin poked his head and looked into the wolf lair hall, but did not enter. He had just completed the first level soldier test, chosen the United Legion's camp, and was now considered a member of the reserve force. With Zhao Lin's talent, being a lone wolf is a bit too much. His senior feat is also in the United Legion camp, so he can be Zhao Lin's guide. The two of them might be able to fight side by side in the same legion in the future. After taking a curious look at the wolf lair, Zhao Lin prepared to leave. Without the lone wolf medal, you cannot enter the wolf den without permission. A dark figure behind him stepped forward, past Zhao Lin, and walked to the front desk of the wolf lair. Feet said in a deep voice, "I'll help Feng Dong get his share of the meal." His expression was cold and his tone was calm. It was obviously not the first time he had done this. "Yebai. Is this okay? I learned, I already know how to do it, then it's okay." In front of Yebai, Feet took away 3 black goats from the front desk of the wolf lair, hiding his merit and fame. After a small episode, Yebai waited for the long-awaited personal reward. Complete the 10th level with a 5's rating and get the reward Nightless Sky Castle *1. Complete the 10th level with a 5's rating and get the reward Blood Clan Guard *1. Complete the 10th level with a 5's rating and get the reward Werewolf Guard *1. Coming. Yebai didn't expect that the entire castle would become his reward. As for what the 10th level copy will look like in the future, it is still unknown. As part of Yebai's exclusive space, Evernight Castle is connected to the mysterious mine. Yebai's exclusive space is also getting bigger and bigger. Go and have a look. Yebai drank the last bottle of wine, stood up slowly, returned to the SS-004 room, and entered his own exclusive space. He had a hunch that Dracula Pig should also be in the Vampire Guards. It must be a special fate. Humming a little tune, Yebai's figure appeared in front of the Evernight Castle and walked towards the castle. Imperial Capital. The Rockery scenic spot is the place where the human race's god of war is buried. A man in black was wandering back and forth outside the Rockery, looking anxious. Does this 5's grade score break the truth? He hesitated. After receiving the news of Azura 5's level clearance, he rushed here, but did not wake up the ancestor in the black coffin immediately. It has only been 4 days since the last time I woke him up. If he wakes up again, it will be a big burden for the old man in the black coffin. The bottom line is, if the phone wakes up every few seconds, why doesn't it stay on? The same is true for the elderly. If you wake up every few days, don't sleep at all. You won't be able to sleep well anyway. Let's wait until the rewards are announced before we decide. The man in black just stood outside the rockery, waiting for the announcement from the Eternal Tower. Coming. This. After receiving the reward announcement, the man in black rushed in without hesitation. The matter is so important that we must report it. Burn incense, say goodbye, and say hello. After a set of procedures was completed, the black coffin slowly rose from the ground, the old man's voice clearly filled with dissatisfaction. I feel like I just took a nap and you came back. This time, even if Shura breaks the sky, I will not be surprised at all. Except for the first 2 complaints, the old man's voice was calm and unhurried, with a kind of honeyed confidence. Tell me, what happened again? The man in black bowed, lowered his eyes, and said respectfully. Shura just passed the 10th level at level 5s, and the reward. He briefly and concisely recounted what Shura had done. After saying that, the air fell into deathly silence again. The man in black thought to himself, my ancestors have really strong psychological qualities. He can be so calm when hearing this kind of news. The last time, Shura made such a noise that the coffin boards could not hold it down. Look, this is the strong demeanor of the god of war, who can adjust his psychological expectations very quickly. No matter what happens, our ancestors can be calm and confident in their advance and retreat. Even if you clear Shura 5s. The man in black still maintained his bowed posture, waiting for the instructions of the old man in the black coffin. Half a minute, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Isn't it too long? The man in black was a little surprised, wondering if something was wrong. Ancestor won't be asleep, right? Thinking of this, the man in black raised his head slightly and looked at the black coffin. Just one glance, and as the god of war, he was almost frightened out of his wits. The black coffin was lifted a little. A skinny hand was clasped on the edge of the coffin. It's going to be a corpse scam. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 124. Next to the black coffin, a skinny hand grasped it tightly, leaving half a fingerprint. The sword marks on the coffin board once again emitted sword energy, but failed to subdue it. The man in black ignored his fear and gritted his teeth before stepping forward. Roll. The old man in the black coffin roared, and the man in black flew out directly, falling to the ground like a kite with its string broken. The coffin was shaking at an extremely high frequency, and the gaps were getting wider and wider, and it was about to become unstoppable. Go and ask for a dream. Before the old man finished speaking, a sigh interrupted him. Well. An ordinary middle-aged man's voice sounded. Why bother? A figure appeared beside the black coffin at some point, ignoring the terrifying pressure and standing there quietly. Even the god of war cannot approach the black coffin easily. He can move around at will. The true identity of the figure is self-evident. The strongest, the Nightmare. Nightmare stood beside the black coffin and said casually, "Get some sleep." For a moment, the world was silent. The black coffin stopped shaking, the gap that had been lifted slowly closed, and the skinny palms also retracted, leaving only incomplete handprints. There was even a slight snore coming from the black coffin. The man in black struggled to get up, facing the back of the Nightmare and saluting. Thank you, Lord Nightmare, for coming to the rescue. The Nightmare figure was a bit unreal and continued. In the big battle in 2 days, he can continue to lie down. There is no need to participate in the battle. Yes. After the war, Xiao Lan will go to the abyss plane, and Xiao Ju will follow. Nightmare's words made the man in black's eyelids jump. Will Mr. Lan go to the abyss plane? And Master Yingju? If anything happens to any one of them, it will be an unbearable pain for the human race. The key is, Lord Yingju goes, doesn't it mean that, Shura also goes? Lord Nightmare is telling himself this, what are you doing? The man in black clasped his fists again and said in a deep voice. Master Nightmare, please make it clear. After they set off, take this coffin to the eternal forest. Beads of sweat appeared on the forehead of the man in black. Has the situation of the human race reached this point? The old man in the black coffin is half crazy and half crazy. His real fighting power can rival the Tongtian god of war, but when it comes to real fighting, he is not sure. Moreover, letting go of his hands and feet to fight would only aggravate the old man's injuries and push him to the end of destruction. Unless absolutely necessary, the black coffin will not be moved easily. Finally, the man in black gritted his teeth and agreed. As you command. When he looked up again, it was like a big dream, and there was no sign of Lord Nightmare. Only the snoring in the black coffin was accompanied. In this dream, the old man went back to the past, talking intermittently in his sleep. Lan Tiankai, I will tell you one last time, I can fight against king-level monsters. I almost got killed last time. The boy's name is Shui Yuxing, and the girl's name is Shuiyan. These names are not good. Listen to me, the boy's name is Shui Meng, and the girl's name is Shui Meng. How nice they sound. Laoju, the sword is going to hit your father, right? Don't stop me. Today I want to let Laoju know who is the first god of war in the human race. Apply the medicine gently. Laoju's attack is neither light nor heavy. How can one of us take such a heavy blow in a competition? The man waiting by the black coffin listened to these sleep talks, smiled bitterly, and shook his head. All gone. The door to Evernight Castle opens. There were two groups of people standing on both sides of the worn red carpet. On one side, there were werewolves headed by Jack. They were numerous and menacing and had the upper hand. On the other side, there was Count Dracula with a cold face, and several vampires stood behind him. Although he was weaker than his opponent in terms of momentum, Dracula was the strongest on the scene, making the werewolves dare not act rashly. Everyone is here, have you eaten? Ye Bai's appearance immediately ended this boring confrontation. Jack put his right fist on his chest and led many werewolves to kneel down on one knee. Sir, your kindness will never be forgotten by the werewolf clan. Dracula glanced at them coldly, these wolf cubs really knew how to lick. I don't know what the word reserved means at all. Dracula stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly. Lord Shura, your loyal servant Dracula thought he had lost your guidance and was almost lost in the darkness. Your reappearance has lit up a new light for this hopeless world. As he spoke, Dracula began to choke, almost bursting into tears. Stop it, don't be disgusting. I just finished eating the barbecue and I'm going to throw up. Ye Bai waved his hand. Even if you become a white-skinned pig, your heart is still black, so don't pretend to be here. Dracula smiled and said, you are joking. My heart is red. If you don't believe me, I will show it to you. Stop talking nonsense, stand up and let me see. Ye Bai glanced around. 24 werewolves and 7 vampires. Most werewolves and vampires are less than level 200, and in their racial concept, they are all minors. Only Jack, Leave 246, and Dracula, Leave 299, are barely enough to watch. Ye Bai had a private chat with Jack, and then he realized that he had signed a soul contract with these werewolves and vampires. They had no other choice but to follow Ye Bai. Okay, you take the brothers out of the castle and go to the mine to see if there is anyone who can help. Everyone follows Ye Bai, and Ye Bai provides food and accommodation, and also invests resources to help them level up. In the same way, there must also be sacrifices to gain something. Mining is tiring and dirty, but there is no danger at all. The strength of a werewolf is far beyond that of a human, so mining can be done with half the effort. Jack nodded and left with his werewolf friends. As for you, Yabai looked at the scattered vampires. Besides sucking blood, what else do you do? A young vampire said with a little pride. Wine tasting, makeup, attending banquets. Idiot. Dracula punched the young ghost in the face, knocking out a lot of his teeth, and the vampire fell heavily to the ground. Master Shura is asking what our value is. Dracula entered the state quickly and said like a butler. Master, we can fight, spy on intelligence, brew wine, and engrave equipment runes. Dracula said a lot, but very little was useful. Whether it was fighting or spying on intelligence, Yabai didn't need a group of vampires who were inferior to even generals. Maybe Dracula himself has some cultivating value, but others, remains to be discussed. Master, we are warriors who are not afraid of death, or in other words, truly immortal. Dracula's eyes glowed red. He knew very well that the most valuable things should be introduced at the end. As long as the Evernight Castle is still there, we can be resurrected with only a small price of blood and essence. That's interesting. Yabai nodded. The infinitely resurrected vampire warrior sounded pretty good. Obviously, the Evernight Castle in front of him is very special and has more functions waiting for Yabai to explore. However, Yabai had a bold idea in his mind that he wanted to verify. Now, I want to do an experiment. Yabai asked the others to leave, leaving Count Dracula alone. The atmosphere became awkward. Dracula's eyes showed fear and he stepped back one after another. What kind of experiment? You probably won't like it. Obedient. Yabai roared, shocking Dracula, and said at the same time. Is it possible that you are a pig? After saying that, Yabai stepped back and pointed the camera at Dracula, observing him carefully without missing any detail. In front of the camera, the elegant and noble Count Dracula performed a wonderful magic trick. Yabai named it, Big Change Live Pig. Dracula Pig, Change me back quickly. Really? The words "the strongest man is free" have always had an impact on Dracula. And the sentence "you are a pig" is the switch that triggers everything. Yabai couldn't help but take a breath of cold air and made up his mind in his heart that he would never see Xiaoao. If you hear the word dog, your transformation will be triggered. A majestic Shura, a dragon, and a phoenix among men, his reputation was ruined in one day. Yabai, who succeeded in the experiment, said sheepishly. Sorry, I only guessed the spell that allowed you to transform. I don't know how to get rid of this state. With that said, Yabai raised the Heavenly King's sword in his hand and asked tentatively. How about I chop you to death again? Didn't you say before that you can still be resurrected? Let's agree first that the cost of resurrection will be deducted from your salary. Dracula, do some human work, please. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 125. Nevernight Castle. After placing the werewolf, Jack was called back by Yabai. Hold the pig. Yabai pointed to the ground, where a small white pig stood. Following Yabai's instructions, Jack picked it up. Dracula Pig, who was in Jack's arms, struggled violently and tried to resist. However, he is just a pig. Jack pinched his nose and said in disgust. It smells like a bat, sir. This guy might be Dracula's pet. That's right, keep up. Yabai walked in front, inspecting his own castle. The castle is divided into 4 floors, and the traces of being slashed by swords are not counted as battle damage. The lowest level is the dungeon. There are 8 cells in total, which can hold warrior-level beings. If resources are invested in upgrading, they can be even stronger. Yabai looked around and was very satisfied with the environment of the dungeon. In the future, we can keep some artificially raised vampires here to provide blood essence. Jack felt the pig in his arms twitch. Maybe he was frightened. Next to the dungeon, there are two more rooms. One is a wine cellar. In another room, a coffin lay quietly in a circular pool. Blood pool. After placing blood essence or blood, injured vampires can recover from their injuries here. Yabai nodded. Evernight Castle was designed by the vampire clan, so it would not be surprising to have such a thing. After visiting the bottom floor, Yabai returned to the lobby on the first floor. The first floor of the castle is more functional, with a reception hall, horse stables, etc. There is nothing special. On the second floor are various rooms, banquet halls, etc., which you can pass by at a glance. With the eye of insight, Yabai doesn't have to worry about making mistakes. No secret can be hidden from him. Third floor. Two people and one pig reached the top floor and stopped. Enchanting room, forging room, and damaged teleportation array. Teleportation array, destroyed, can lead to the 10th floor of the Eternal Tower. Interesting. On the 10th floor, Yabai himself didn't need to go back. His time needs to be spent on brushing up the SSSS grade, which is very valuable. If the teleportation array can be repaired, Yabai can send Dracula and other vampires back to collect resources and intelligence. Knowing more about the background story of the 10th floor is of great significance for Yabai to explore the levels on the 20th and 30th floors. Repair materials: 300 kilograms of SS grade ore, 200 kilograms of S grade ore. A repair list was written down by Yabai. Ore and other items can be produced by the super furnace, and other materials can be purchased from the pavilion of all things. As for the craftsmen who repair the magic circle, dwarves are among them. After walking around the entire castle, Yabai probably had an idea in his mind. Jack, please remember this. Yabai opened his mouth and said slowly. Ask the resting miners to free up their manpower and transform the first and second floors of the castle into dormitories. Priority will be given to miners and dwarves, followed by werewolves and finally vampires. Here, although Yabai is provided with food and accommodation, he is also divided into relatives and close relatives, and it is impossible to treat everyone equally. Those who are able and willing to work are naturally entitled to better treatment. What's more, the miners were the first group of people to follow Yabai. Just from mining, Yabai made a lot of money. The Dracula pig in Jack's arms grunted feebly. The castle he carefully built turned out to be the residence of a group of short-lived species. Yabai seemed to have guessed his thoughts and hit the pig's head with the force of nature. Hum again, let's eat roast suckling pig tonight. Dracula. Also, let them come up with a points system based on working hours and output. In addition to daily needs, those with high points can also apply to buy the things they want. Yabai said a few more things to pay attention to, and Jack wrote them down one by one. The more people there are, the more complicated it will be to manage. Fortunately, Yabai prefers to grasp the big ones and let go of the small ones. The general direction is good. If he leaves it to trustworthy people and invests enough resources, the result will not be too bad. If Yabai had to do everything by himself, he would be exhausted by the hundreds of people under his command. Sir, what do those stinky bats need to do? After writing everything down, Jack asked in confusion. Yabai arranged everyone's affairs, but did not arrange work for the vampire. Take care of it for 2 days first. I am the most fair person and never force others to work. Yabai knew that unlike werewolves, those young vampires had not yet corrected their mentality. Among the several vampires, only Dracula has a higher emotional intelligence and can understand the situation before him. Yabai said lightly. Only provide them with the water and food necessary for life. If they want more, use labor in exchange. I guess it won't be long before they take the initiative to participate in labor and put down their aristocratic airs. Voluntary is always better than forced. After saying that, Yebai's eyes fell on the pig. Dracula's ears perked up, indicating that he was listening. If there is a vampire who cannot control his desire to drink blood and attempts to harm anyone or the lizard. Yebai's voice was still calm, without any obscene meaning. Blue Star has a technology that can help animals perform sex reassignment surgery. Trust me, you'll be popular in the boar pen, you know what I mean? Dracula nodded wildly and even made pig noises. Ming, understand. He believed that his new master was capable of such a crazy thing. Being killed is not terrible, death is just the beginning of new life. The scary thing is that Yebai has 100 or 1,000 ways to torture Dracula. Death is the most trivial matter. Looking at the entire castle, it is indeed a good reward. Exclusive space, servants of werewolves and vampires, endless potential. It's just, as a 5's level reward, it's still not enough. Yebai's eyes naturally fell on Dracula. This pig is the biggest reward. Dracula, the former vampire prince, a god of war level warrior, the same level as the White Wolf King. Putting aside your own potential. He is also the breakthrough point in exploring the background story. The problem is that Yebai can only pry open Dracula's mouth step by step. This matter should be done slowly rather than urgently. Looking at the time, it was already close to 6 o'clock. Yebai stretched out. Okay, that's it for today. You guys take action, I'm going back to school too. Jack, Dracula. Go to school. Their new master, Lord Shura, who is inhumane and ruthless in his actions, actually wants to go to school. For a moment, they didn't know what was going on in the world. Yebai turned into a white light and disappeared from the place, leaving the wolf and the pig stunned. Summer Camp, Area C. When Yebai returned to the dormitory, a shadow had been waiting for him for a long time. Master Ju always makes people feel at ease when he does things. There is a faint smell of blood in the air. Yebai asked tentatively. Master Ju, are you there? Roll. Sure enough, he is still the grumpy old man version of Master Ju. This secret method has great staying power. Yebai must find a way to persuade Master Ju to use it as little as possible in the future. Master Ju, I have passed level 5s. Master Ju, now I not only have a mine, but also a house, vampire style, duplex structure, tens of thousands of square meters, with freehold property rights. Master Ju, I have a prince-level vampire pig pet. No matter what Yebai said, Yingju remained unmoved and was too lazy to talk to Yebai. Master Ju, I met Jack the Shadow Wolf, and he said he had seen nightmares back then. Brush. Black mist instantly filled the entire dormitory, isolating the space. Yingju's hoarse voice came from the black mist. Jack, he's still alive. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 126. Well, Jack is still alive. After hearing Yebai's words, the figure in the black mist was silent for a moment. Live as long as you live. If you rescue him, you can fulfill the promise you made back then. Yebai raised his eyebrows. Did Master Ju know about this? Things between Master Ju and Nightmare have become interesting. As an SSS level talent, Nightmare's speed through levels is ridiculous. Although it is not like Yebai who can get a 4's score, it is basically a 3's pace to clear the level 1 level a day. Master Ju has been following the Nightmare? As a thigh pendant? Yebai shook his head and denied this conjecture. Take myself as an example, even if Yebai reveals his identity and takes Zhao Lin with him to break through the barrier, he still cannot keep the progress of the two people consistent. There are a large number of single-player dungeons in the Eternal Tower. Among the first 10 floors, only floors 1, 7, 8, and 10 are public dungeons, and the remaining 6 floors are single-player dungeons. Even if you want to wear leg pendants, you can't. Under such circumstances, Master Ju actually broke into the 10th floor with Nightmare, which shows his talent and strength. Lan Lao, who is their contemporary, is probably still stuck in the second level of job transfer at this time. Except for the initial loss of emotion, the black mist slowly gathered and sank into the shadow of the ground again. Obviously, Master Ju didn't want to talk about this topic much, and he also knew Jack back then. Ye Bai seized the opportunity and continued to communicate with the grumpy old man. Master Ju, when will the war start tomorrow? Please let me know. The moment the war starts, you know it's on. Ye Bai, nonsense literature still depends on you, Master Ju. Then what can I do? You know, Master Ju, my talent, ahem. I can't think of words to praise me, I can praise myself. If you don't want to praise me, you don't have to praise me. Ye Bai's meaning is very clear. His SSS level talent is Eye of Insight, which is an auxiliary type. Others may be kept in the dark about this matter, but the most powerful person knows more or less the details at this level. Otherwise, they would not specifically target the fourth demon god, the one whose true body is a demon eye. Ye Bai can completely rely on the Eye of Insight to assist him and do what he can. Shadow was silent for a moment and spoke again. It's too dangerous and your identity will be exposed. Master Ju, nothing is absolutely safe. Besides, aren't you always by my side? Ye Bai counted on his fingers. The Eternal Forest is the nightmare territory of the most powerful person. The respected Lord Xiaoao, the most powerful person, lives in the Eternal Tower not far away. I have someone as powerful as Lord Ju protecting me. If Ye Bai, a guard of this level, can die, then I probably deserve to die. Every day from the 1st to the 31st, please burn more paper on my grave. Ye Bai spread his hands and explained. Besides, it's not like I jumped out and shouted about self-destruction. I just need to hide in the dark and take a few more glances. Yingju was silent for a long while. Yes, but not necessary. I insist. Ye Bai's attitude was very firm, and it was rare that he had different opinions from Yingju. I'll take a few more looks. Let's not talk about catching the mole. Even if it's to help everyone improve their strength, second awakening talents and so on. After the war, more loot fell into my pocket. According to previous agreement. For all those who learn wind without distance, 1/3 of the loot in this battle will belong to Ye Bai to pay for the skill book. When it comes to money, Ye Bai always feels desperate. No matter how much money he has, Ye Bai never misses anything that can make money. Yingju was finally persuaded. How to arrange it? You have a lot of clever ideas. Tell me what you think. Ye Bai had already prepared the draft and spoke it out in detail. Good. After saying that, Yingju fell into silence again. The plan Ye Bai mentioned is indeed feasible. For specific operations, Yingju will arrange people. Dong dong dong. Brother Bai, the plan has changed. Feng Dong knocked on Ye Bai's dormitory door with 2 breakfasts in hand. Let's talk while we eat. Feng Dong gnawed on the buns and said casually. Brother Bai, you originally ordered some goats to improve the food, but some guy took them away for me. Just as he was talking, feet passed by with 3 black goats on his shoulders, his face unchanged, his heart not beating, and his breath calm. Ye Bai. He wrote down this account. Zhao Lin owed him a grassland sheep. Brother Bai, today's teaching plan is cancelled. Feng Dong got back to business and shared information with Ye Bai. There may be big moves recently. Let's watch the Legion's defense change process and feel the battlefield atmosphere in advance. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows. In other words, can you fish today? Brother Bai, don't smile so obviously. It's impossible to fish by fishing. Feng Dong smiled and said, since we are feeling the atmosphere, each person must write no less than 8,000 words of personal feelings. Speaking, Feng Dong pointed at himself. We also have to write. I'm fine, but that guy feet is miserable. It's 8,000 words, but I can't even read 8 words. The two of them just chatted and came to a newly built booth. Teachers and students in Area C are gathering here. It is said that this event will last for 1 day and may involve all the human legions left on Blue Star. Feng Dong said with emotion, what a generous move. Yes, it's a big deal. Ye Bai agreed. Some people say something bad or inappropriate. When it comes time to actually take action, I feel like peeling off my skin, cramping my muscles, and grinding my bones into powder. You are still ruthless, Mr. Ju. The CCF group gathered quickly and, of course, has now been renamed the CCS group. Thanks to someone, Lu Sueki's S-level talent couldn't be hidden at all. After the 6 people gathered together, Zhou Lingzi assembled a typewriter on the spot. I took some time to make an automatic typing software, just to try out the effect. And this thing? Zhao Lin asked curiously, if it is promoted widely, will all the authors lose their jobs? In addition to the left spiritual weapon, fight is also ready. He laid out the white paper and carefully wrote one word with a pen. Good. Then, he stayed where he was, not knowing what to continue writing for a while. Zhao Lin was the most excited, leaning out half of his body to look around. It's about to begin. Ye Bai took a deep breath, held the gel pen, and pressed the pen tip against the white paper. According to the plan he and Yingju agreed upon. On the one hand, Ye Bai wrote down the important information he could see. On the other hand, Yingju will cover up the content on Ye Bai's paper and pass on the information. Here we go. Brush. Brush. Rows and rows of soldiers, generals, and even kings appeared in front of everyone with neat steps. The chilling air instantly filled every space. Zhao Lin recognized their identities based on the flags and medals. Lin Haijun Regiment. Legion Commander Lin Wangchao is a knightly war god of the wood and water elements. As a preparatory member of the Legion, Zhao Lin knew a lot about this information after studying hard. Ye Bai glanced at it, and with a flick of his wrist, his pen moved quickly. Lin Haijun, Lin Wangchao's injury treatment, take 200 of Lin's hair. After writing this, Ye Bai paused and glanced at the regiment commander Lin Wangchao again. This guy, is a bald guy. No matter, let's finish writing first and then talk. The tip of the pen leaves lines of words on the white paper, black and white. Every time he glanced at it, Ye Bai had to write hundreds of words on the paper. The legions below were moving very slowly. Ye Bai above wrote very quickly. Lin Haijun, Lu Dazhuang was injured in 6 places. Lin Haijun, Li Hu, a follower of the 8th Demon Sect, a 6th level general with true combat power. Lin Haijun, Wang Pangpang, the 2nd awakening of talent. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 127. Summer Camp, Area C. The next thing coming to us is the Montenegrin army. Ye Bai yawned, rubbed his eyes, and his wrists felt a little sore. He didn't stop all day long. Catch a sheep and drag it to death. How reserved Mr. Ju was before, now he is so unbridled. He. Taking advantage of the rest, Ye Bai raised his head and looked at the others. Zhou Lingzi used smart coding software to write down his reflections. Lu Sueki's handwriting was beautiful and her strokes were extremely serious, while Feng Dong's handwriting was a bit sloppy and he wrote whatever came to mind. The worst offenders were Zhao Lin and Feed. Even if they put together what they wrote together, it wouldn't be enough for 800 words. Zhao Lin wailed, looked at the setting sun, and said helplessly, "Senior, we can't earn these credits. Think about what we're going to have for dinner tonight, right?" Feet shook his head silently. "Is this the time to eat?" Suddenly, as if he had opened up the two channels of Ren and Du, he began to write furiously. This movement attracted the attention of everyone around, and they all came forward to get a closer look. "I saw," Feet wrote. "It is recommended that the troops add extra meals tonight: steamed lamb, steamed bear paws, steamed deer tail, roasted flour duck, roasted chicken. You leave it here to tell me the name of the dish." Zhao Lin immediately followed his example and contributed to the Legion's dinner. After a busy day, Ye Bai used several bottles of eye drops. The instructor also named and praised Ye Bai as a model student in Area C. He said that Ye Bai felt extremely engaged in the atmosphere and had a correct personal attitude. He hoped that everyone would learn from it. There are even several legions that are willing to give Ye Bai the opportunity to intern and experience it up close. Ye Bai. I felt a little complicated for a while and didn't know how to express it. The rest area of the booth in Area C. Instructors and teachers gather here. Birds of a feather flock together. Relationships such as classmates and comrades in the army are woven together. Most people have their own circles and chat with people they know well. In a corner, most people would deliberately avoid it, keep a distance from them, and would not join in to seek boredom. Call. Wuzuki blew out a smoke ring, which was very satisfying. The King of War is so cool. On Wuzuki's right was Instructor Lin, and on his left was Lu Qingjian. The three of them were classmates in the same class and served in the same army one after another, so they had a close relationship. Listening to Wuzuki's showing off, Instructor Lin was very dissatisfied. "This is the second time today that you..." Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lu Qingjian. "Speaking of two, my granddaughter. Stop it. We all know that her talent has awakened for the second time. Now we are not the only ones who know about it, the Abyss Plane may also know about it." Wuzuki and Lin Jiao united to stop Lu Qingjian's repeater behavior. "Look at how superficial you are." Lu Qingjian snorted coldly and made no excuse. He originally planned to show off that his granddaughter changed jobs for the second time and had an SS level rating. Now she can summon pets from 2 dimensions. Originally, with Lu Sueki's strength, it was somewhat difficult to achieve an SS level rating for her second job transfer. Who knew it was such a coincidence that Shura passed level 5s? Lu Sueki originally had an exploration level of 80%, but with the help of the Perfect Realm, she was directly upgraded to SS level. It's equivalent to raising it to a higher level. Lu Qingjian warned herself, "It's better to leave some trump cards to that girl, and don't show off everything to the outside world." Teacher Lin put down the orange juice and said, "The Ye Bai that Lao Lu likes is indeed quite capable. It's worthwhile for me to go there in person that day." In the previous advanced test in Area C, Instructor Lin came to the scene and even named Ye Bai to fight Wang Zheng. The main reason behind this is Lu Qingjian. Lu Qingjian became interested and asked, "Oh? I heard that the little fox beat up Lao Wang's grandson." "It's not a beating, it's just a one-sided crushing." Teacher Lin described what happened in the previous fighting test to the two of them. "This kid is still hiding something, he definitely hasn't shown his true strength." After listening, Lu Qingjian tapped his finger on the small table and said affirmatively. He was in Nanjiang No. 3 middle school before, playing against a kid with A-level talent. What's his name? Anyway, Ye Bai won easily. Wuzuki suddenly felt interesting. "Are you saying that a boy with C-level talent defeated opponents with A-level and S-level talents?" "Yes, what do you want to say? First rule out the possibility that he is Shura." Wuzuki lowered his voice and said, "In the special training camp for SS level talents, there are a few very strong thunder-type seedlings, and one of them happens to be a master of the 3 elements of thunder, wind, and fire. Real or fake?" Shura previously cleared the SSS level and transferred to the secret realm. When the entire Eternal Tower human race received the buff, they also learned about Shura's current situation. The three elements of thunder, wind, and fire are cultivated together. What a monster! Really, someone around Genius Seed saw traces of Ying Er that day. Shadow 2. Film level, second. In fact, most people don't know the specific division of labor among the Shadow's top management. Even the God of War cannot fully understand the working mechanism of Shadow. Subconsciously, it is assumed that the higher the Shadow ranking, the stronger the power. The stronger the Shadow, the more evil the genius it protects. Just like Yang Qi, when he initially attacked Yang Qi's position, he had no idea that Yang Qi was guarding the Eternal Forest. Otherwise, beating him to death wouldn't be considered Yang Qi. Yang 1 is said to be on the front line. If Shadow 2 appears next to Shura, it would be reasonable. This kind of gossip can only be discussed in private. The status of the three of them is not low, and they know very well what attitude the human race has towards Shura, the most powerful seed. Let me tell you, before Shura has the strength of the 9th level God of War, there is no need to show up. Lin Jiao was the strongest person present, standing on the high ground of strength and pointing. SSS level talent, the potential to break through the limits, this is the most important thing. The human race today is no longer the human race decades ago. At that time, the most powerful seeds were needed to fight in person and turn the tide. Now we can fully support Shura and develop well. Wuzuki refused to give in at all. I don't think so, no big tree can grow in a greenhouse. Which of the most powerful people in our human race didn't come out of a sea of blood and a mountain of corpses? If you ask me, it's all nonsense. Lu Qingjian said disdainfully, what you two think and think is your business. Azura himself can do whatever he wants, and you guys don't have to tell him what to do. He just wants to marry the devil as his little wife, and you have nothing to do with him. Just as the three of them were taunting each other, everyone's cell phones started buzzing at the same time. Ding! The salary has arrived. Money can calm all quarrels. Wuzuki took out his phone and looked at it, and was very satisfied with the numbers on the text message. The salary from the King of War is great. Do you see me showing off that I'm getting the God of War salary? As the God of War, Instructor Lin naturally earns the highest salary. Lao Lu, how much did you take? When it comes to getting a salary, you should not only look at yourself, but also your colleagues. Happiness comes from contrast. Wuzuki glanced at Lu Qingjian's mobile phone and froze on the spot, dumbfounded. Damn it, why did you take so much? Lao Lu, did you apply for the death camp? No way, I didn't hear that the death will camp is open this time. Teacher Lin also came up, and after seeing the numbers clearly, his face was full of disbelief. You must have been paid the wrong salary. Why is it one digit more than me? Give me half, or I'll report you to the finance department. The salary of a peak war king is 10 times higher than that of the God of War. Could it be that Lu Qingjian is hiding his strength? The two of them moved their hands and feet towards Lu Qingjian. Teacher Lin was responsible for holding Lu Qingjian down, and Wuzuki took the opportunity to pick up his phone and check his salary slip details. The basic salary is normal, benefits are normal. Old Lu, where did you get the scientific research bonus? Wuzuki pointed to the column of the salary slip. The extra money came from here. Scientific Research Project Team Leader, Blue Sky Chi. Lin Jiao also felt strange. Have you joined Lan Lao's scientific research team? Only Lu Qingjian looked confused, right? Did I get in? Since Mr. Lan said he made it, he must have made it. That must be it. You two are so old-fashioned and so ignorant. Lu Qingjian raised his head, his nostrils pointed upward, knocked on the table, and said disdainfully. I didn't see what was written above. I am a person who has made significant scientific research contributions, and I am sending this fund as a reward. Do you understand the value of scientific research contributions? Among the poor students, a person with the label of top student suddenly appeared. It's hard not to be arrogant. This guy, Lu Qingjian, is determined today. Old Lu, you're still pretty much understudy. Wuziki's face turned cold and he asked tentatively. Tell yourself, what research contribution can you make? Ahem. Lu Qingjian coughed twice to cover up his embarrassment. I signed a confidentiality agreement, you know. Yes, it is a confidentiality agreement, which must be kept strictly confidential. Speaking of which, the whole day was basically chatted to death. Instructor Lin didn't think anything of it. He was busy during this period and didn't have much contact with Lu Qingjian. On the contrary, Wuziki looked strange and seemed to have guessed the truth. Wuziki patted Lu Qingjian's shoulder and said naturally. Lao Lu, thank you for your hard work. You deserve this money. You should eat more brain supplements lately. There is a restaurant in the second cafeteria. Lu Qingjian's eyes shone brightly and she couldn't wait to speak. Speaking of two, you. Lin Jiao and Wuziki said in unison. Shut up. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjiao Old Thief. Chapter 128. Summer Camp, Area C. It's finally done. Ye Bai had an ice pack wrapped around his wrist, and he was not feeling well. After the incident came to an end, several of them gathered in the cafeteria for a late-night snack. Brother Bai, you will be rewarded with 2,000 points for your outstanding personal performance during this observation. Feng Dong screamed strangely. He didn't expect the organizer to be so generous. 1 point from the summer camp can be exchanged for 10 eternal gold coins, which is 20,000 gold coins. Feng Dong took a breath. He was not surprised because of the points, but he was surprised to find out. Brother Bai's summer camp points quietly reached the first tier. In the fighting test, Brother Bai won first place in Area C and was awarded 2,000 points. Now the total is 4,000 points. Don't forget, Ye Bai's task for this week hasn't been submitted yet. I didn't register any bonus points, but in just 2 days, I went from 0 points to 4,000 points. Feng Dong had an ominous premonition. Silly man, you don't think Brother Bai wants to take first place in the summer camp, right? Feng Dong is still counting on Brother Bai to help him pass the exam. Disaster. Feet stuffed most of the chicken into his mouth, chewed it a few times and swallowed it. The overall ranking of the summer camp will be based on the top students with SS-level talents. Ye Bai is very strong, but it is impossible to be ranked first. You also think Brother Bai is very strong, right? Feng Dong scratched his head and said distressedly. But this thing is very strange. Brother Bai is obviously ordinary except for being handsome, but very confident. Feet helped Feng Dong fill in the rest. Ye Bai, I have never been afraid. Zhou Spirit Machine nodded, agreeing with Fight's point of view. That's right, it was the same when they were practicing. Even Lu Sueki would be nervous when facing the demon cult believers, but Ye Bai acted like he was fine. Hey hey hey. Ye Bai patted the table and emphasized. I'm still here myself, can't you guys talk about this behind my back? Feng Dong pulled his hair into a chicken coop, stared at Ye Bai suspiciously, and asked. Brother Bai, tell me the truth, have you awakened your talent for the second time? Ye Bai answered simply and neatly. No. I guarantee with Zhao Lin's life that I don't have the talent for a second awakening right now. Zhao Lin? You guys are having a nice chat, why am I the one taking the blame again? By the way, Zhao Lin, how many points do you have? Ye Bai was a little curious. Zhao Lin's current progress is neither good nor bad, and he is at the lower level of the summer camp. With his C-level talent, it is not easy to get to where he is today. 648 points. Zhao Lin just passed the first level soldier test yesterday and received an additional 100 points. Dabai, I was just planning to talk to you about this. The points have been converted to almost 7 million. The IOU I wrote to you before. Without the skill book of Windwalker, Zhao Lin would definitely not be able to enter the summer camp. Naturally, these 648 points will not be in his hands. Zhao Lin's meaning was also very simple. He wanted to pay back what he owed Ye Bai, at least partially first. You should use it yourself first. Didn't you hear what Senior Feng Dong just said? I have 4,000 points and I don't even know how to spend them. Ye Bai said frankly. 4,000 points equals 40,000 gold coins and 0.04 God of War merit. He still has more than 10,000 God of War merit points in his pocket that are useless. There is really no money to spend. Of course, in addition to Ye Bai being able to make money, there is another very important reason. He can save money every day and manage his family well. Zhao Lin wanted to say something else, but Ye Bai blocked him first. You invest this points in yourself first. Your 10 million debt is a matter of 1,000 points. How many points will I not earn if I continue to stay at the summer camp? You only have this one chance in this life. Do you really expect to see the most powerful seed born again in the future? Okay, this matter is settled. Ye Bai patted Zhao Lin on the shoulder. If you pay back later, I'll charge more interest. I'll figure this out. Zhao Lin? Is there something wrong? After having midnight snack, a few people walked towards the dormitory area and found that people were in a hurry along the way. Senior, what happened again? Among everyone, Feng Dong was the most well informed. Having a nephew who is the god of war is really something. Feng Dong whispered. Catching moles, don't tell me you are really good at it. It is said that many moles were caught today, more than 1,000 people. After reviewing a batch, they don't need to be thrown into jail, they are taken directly to the eternal forest. Wow, is it so amazing? Ye Bai, who was supposed to cooperate in the performance, was very cooperative. It seems there is an expert behind this. No, there is a high-minded person behind it. Everyone, go back. Something big will happen tomorrow. Get some rest tonight and recharge your batteries. Feng Dong actually doesn't know much about what will happen tomorrow. Such large-scale core mobilization, material transportation, personnel exchanges, and ever-increasing confidentiality levels. Anyone with a sane mind could tell that something big was going on. Transporting so much ore to the front line can't just be a celebration for the demons, right? This is preparation for a fierce battle with the abyssal plane. The front line has shrunk its defense lines in the past few days, and the demons have also rarely slowed down their offensive. Both sides are accumulating strength, brewing storms, and silently waiting for the war to break out. As for how this igniter will detonate the explosive barrel, most people are still kept in the dark. Including Ye Bai. Master Ju, I may have been injured at work. Sitting on a chair in the dormitory, Ye Bai rubbed his wrists and wanted to ask how to compensate for this situation. Where does it hurt? The grumpy old man's version of Master Ju, who is ruthless and doesn't talk much. Chop it and it won't hurt anymore. At first glance, he is a well-trained doctor. After practicing medicine for decades, not a single patient died at the hands of the disease. The secret is simple: as long as Master Ju kills the patient first, the patient will not be considered killed by the disease. I'm kidding you. Ye Bai put his hands behind his back and continued to ask without changing his expression. Master Ju, will the war start tomorrow? Right. Can we be more flexible with our time concept and finish working early and get off work early? Ye Bai felt that a sneak attack should be carried out when it was time to attack. When it comes to fighting, How can anyone move a machine gun according to the telegram's instructions and stick to the dogma? Moreover, based on Yebai's one-sided understanding of several powerful people. They seem to be the same kind of people as Juyi. When it's time to be shameless, never show mercy. The time has not yet come. Yingju may have felt that the sentence was not convincing enough, so he added. If we start now, the result will be much smaller. Clear. Yebai glanced at the time, it was 12 o'clock. Master Ju, let's stop chatting. I'm going to brush up on my Force rating. Wait for my good news. Roll. Eternal Core City. Yebai did not go directly to the Eternal Tower. He wasn't sure if he could enter now, he had to confirm with Xuemeng. Arriving at the wolf lair, Yebai made a slightly surprised sound. Why are there so many people? In the past, the wolf's den would only be full during carnival times. But today, more than 10,000 people gathered in the wolf lair, and the number of people is getting more and more. Boy, are you new? A fat man wearing a lone wolf mask stood next to Yebai and pointed to the sign above the wolf den. Do you see any difference? Wolf, where's Shadow? Yebai immediately discovered the problem. The fat man said in a show-off manner. A lone wolf walks alone, but his shadow follows him. When the shadow disappears, it means that the war is about to begin. The shadow can no longer protect the lone wolf and is going to the battlefield. Judging from Fatty's tone, this was not the first time he had experienced this. The shadows are all gone. How can we still sit here and wait for a suitable position before we are qualified to go to the battlefield? Lone wolves are not allowed on large-scale Legion battlefields. It is precisely for this reason that before the war begins, a temporary Legion will be established by the Legion Command Center to absorb lone wolves and integrate all forces. While the two were chatting, a man wearing the Fenglan Legion badge quickly walked into the wolf lair, holding a stack of application forms in his hand and shouting loudly. There are 300 Fenglan Legions, starting with 4th level warriors, with priority given to the wind element. One call and 100 responses. Even the fat man next to Yebai pushed his way into the crowd. While squeezing, he did not forget to turn around and shout to Yebai. Little brother, I'm busy with business. If there's anything you don't understand, ask someone else to ask. Thanks. When you come back, I'll treat you to a drink. TCH, how can you, a soldier, fuck you, a lone wolf in the stars? The fat man let out a strange cry. The lone wolf of the stars wants to buy me a drink. His voice attracted everyone's attention to Yebai, and the fat man took the opportunity to squeeze to the front, snatched a registration form, and quickly filled in his personal information. After filling out the application form, the fat man turned around and smiled sheepishly at Yebai. Normal people would be a little embarrassed to be stared at by so many people. Fatty never expected that Yebai would not only not be embarrassed, but would even further trigger social NB syndrome. Star Lone Wolf, 9th level warrior, newcomer. In fact, anyone with some brains can guess Yebai's true identity. Under the mask, Shura is a lone wolf. Also, the future Wolf King. Under the gaze of everyone, Yebai waved his hand in response to the gaze, and said with a smile. When you come back, I'll treat you to a drink. The crowd burst into laughter. Shura wants to invite them to drink. Okay, it's settled. It's a deal. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 129. People from the Legion are constantly coming in and out of the wolf lair, taking away hundreds of people every time. Basically, as long as you shout, countless people will rush forward and the quota will be filled up quickly. Yebai watched for a moment and then was pulled into the room by someone. I heard you wanted to buy a drink. Xuemeng looked at Ye Bai repeatedly with suspicious eyes. Let me tell you clearly, my account at Wolf Nest is frozen. Ye Bai looked confused. Why can't I understand what you are talking about? I'm telling you, stop playing this trick of you treat me, I'll pay for it. Xuemeng looked very serious and said extremely seriously. I'm already bankrupt. All the expenses before this war were charged to my father's card. Don't cause trouble to me. Even if you are a disaster, you should be a disaster to someone else. Ye Bai was indignant. Look at your potential, am I, Shura, such a person? Yes. Ye Bai couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Xuemeng, the lone wolf in the stars and the 9th level god of war, was created by his father, right? Someone else is treating you, swipe my card. Xuemeng's treat, swipe my father's card. Others shop, pinduoduo. Xuemeng shopping, fighting for daddy. Okay, no more chatting with you, I still have a mission. Xuemeng waved his hand and said seriously. The weird old man said, don't enter the Eternal Tower before 12:30, just wait. Xuemeng was about to leave when he remembered something and took out a staff and handed it to Ye Bai. By the way, your staff is enchanted. This enchantment has a number of uses. It will disappear completely after about 1 million times. Ye Bai took the staff, and the power of nature absorbed 80% more life. If Ye Bai stacks 30 layers and is ready to attack, when a thunderbolt hits, his blood volume will be directly filled up. Xuemeng looked at the staff and asked. I heard Uncle Zhao say that you are collecting seeds. Ye Bai nodded, yes, you have. Well, what my father harvested on the battlefield was originally meant to be left to me as a family heirloom, but money has been a bit tight recently. With that said, Xuemeng took out a transparent jade box, which contained a seed made of special material and wrapped in amber. Seed, Spring Rain. Material, SS grade. Transplantation effect, increase the upper limit of the accommodation quality of the force of nature, while reducing the accommodation quantity. Make a price, I'll take it. With more than 10,000 God of War merits in his pocket, Ye Bai spoke with confidence. Spring Rain has only one effect, it helps the power of nature improve the quality of its accommodation. Power of nature is just an S-level staff, not as appetizing as Wind of Nightmare. The Wind of Nightmare is open to all comers, even if it is lower than SSS grade material, I don't even bother to take a look at it. The force of nature, on the other hand, looked at the SSS grade material eagerly and couldn't eat it. With Spring Rain, this problem can be solved. Xuemeng tentatively quoted a price, 15 God of War merit points. 15 million gold coins is not cheap to buy just one SS level material. However, Spring Rain is indeed special, and I am afraid that only Xuemeng has it in the entire human race. The specific price at which the transaction will be completed depends on how the two parties negotiate. Ye Bai waved his hand, look at your fussing and searching look. Let me tell you the number, 2 o'clock. After some haggling, Spring Rain was sold for 10 God of War merit points. Ye Bai took out the Spring Rain on the spot and placed it on top of the force of nature. The dead wood grew, and the buds were pulled out to completely wrap the Spring Rain into it. Current number of transplantable seeds, 4. Transplantable seed grade, SSS grade. The quality has gone up, but the quantity has gone down. Ye Bai shook his head. No matter what, this deal must be profitable. Xuemeng still has a mission to say goodbye to Ye Bai. 20 minutes left. Ye Bai counted the time. The cost of getting a 5's rating is indeed not small. Xiaoao, the first liver emperor in the Eternal Tower, had been busy for 24 hours, but he still hadn't finished helping Ye Bai finish it. Let's take care of some chores first. Ye Bai returned to his own exclusive space, and the mysterious mine was in full swing. Werewolves and miners were transporting the mine ore back and forth. This guy Dracula actually restored his vampire form. Owner. Boss. Seeing Yabai appear, the four of them immediately came together. The leader of the miners, the dwarf Zyogu, Jack, Dracula. Each person introduced their respective jobs in a few short sentences. Among them, Dracula worked the hardest. Master, I have modified the furnace in the castle. Now it can also help smelt B-grade ore, and the loss is not too much. Even if Xiaogu didn't like this vampire, he had to nod and admit it. Indeed, but those sissies are so bad that they can't even move several tons of ore. Obviously. Dracula has a very high reputation among vampires. In order to avoid becoming a vampire pig, he has to show enough value, and the vampires under him will not have an easy life. Dracula was a master at being a slave, and he was even more proficient at enslaving slaves. Good job. I'll add chicken drumsticks to his dinner. Dracula's mouth twitched. I'm a vampire, why don't you add chicken legs to my meal? What do you think I am, a weasel? Yabai took stock of yesterday's output, loaded it all into the storage space, and left after making sure everything was correct. Trading secrets. The goblin boy is skilled in counting minerals, and now he is no longer shocked. Even a little numb. 1,200 tons of S-grade ore, 7,000 tons of A-grade ore, 5,000 tons of B-grade ore, a total of 15,500 God of War merits. Yabai had a total of 16,000 merit points before. He spent 860 on the vampire blood enchantment and 10 on spring rain. Adding these 15,500 points, he still had 30,630 God of War merit points in his hand. By the way, I still have some things I want to buy. Yabai took the time to ask. After the power of nature enchantment, there is a high amount of blood sucking. Is there any way to convert the overflowing blood sucking effect into a shield? To be fair, Yabai is still a little short of saving his life. Only by stacking up your health and shields can you feel safe. Forbidden spells or high-level skills, I'm afraid they are not suitable for your current situation, fourth brother. The goblin boy was obviously prepared and took out a red gem. By directly attaching it to the equipment, 12% of the overflowing blood-sucking energy can be converted into a shield, with a maximum shield value of 10 billion. The shield can last for up to 5 minutes. Each blood feast gem will be broken after converting into 10 billion shields. It is a small thing that the King of War prefers to use. After introducing blood feast gemstone, the goblin boy quoted the price. 350,000 gold coins each, discounted price. Yabai thought about it and realized that he really needed this thing, the demand was quite big. 3 pieces and 1 God of War meritorious service, how about it? Okay. 600 coins first. This amount shocked the goblin boy. 600 pieces. 200 God of War merits were spent like this. Although Yabai was not short of money, his purchase demand was too exaggerated. The goblin boy quickly understood the reason. The maximum conversion limit of the blood feast gem is 10 billion. Shura should have a super high burst, which will cause the blood feast gem to be scrapped after a few times, so 600 are needed. Why do all Shura's transactions come from the goblin brother? That's why. Purchase records can reveal too much information, and an interested person can easily deduce the truth from clues. Payment successful. Balance, 30,430 God of War merits. After accepting 600 blood feast gemstones, Yabai looked at the time, it was 12:30. Let's talk later, I went to brush up on the 4's rating. As he spoke, Yabai's figure turned into white light and disappeared from the place. A little goblin boy was left messy in the wind. Brush, 4S, rating. Is this something a person can say? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 130. I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible. Eternal Tower, 11th floor. 12:30. A white light flashed, and Yabai appeared in the forest. The moment he appeared, a fireball hit him head-on at an extremely fast speed, but Yabai easily dodged it. As the fireball fell into the air, Yabai heard a reminder. Evade the primary fireball technique, kill the lower-level fire element, and gain 2,500 experience points. After the fireball, various skill attacks followed one after another, which was dazzling. Level 11, unable to cause damage to monsters through attacks, and can only avoid monsters' skill attacks. After successfully evading, the monster will receive corresponding damage according to the mana consumption of the skill. After the blood bar is cleared, the monster will die and gain experience. Complete the level without any injuries to gain 100% exploration degree. To put it simply, the gameplay at this level is free parkour, where you can only run but not fight. An advanced version of the nervous response test in the soldier test. No matter how strong the output capability is, it will not work on the 11th level. In fact, when formulating the soldier test project, we will refer to the level content of the Eternal Tower to achieve targeted training and strengthening. Because if you want to climb higher in the Eternal Tower, the test requirements for comprehensive quality are also higher. People who achieve the ultimate in a certain aspect are likely to be trapped by some inconspicuous levels and unable to move forward. Once it gets stuck, the level and profession will be affected, which will limit the improvement of combat power. Don't be biased. Yabai doesn't have many displacement skills, wind slash, dancing with fire, and wind without distance. Fighting and running away are basically these three things. Fortunately, Yabai's own agility is high enough, and he has the super high bonus of Nightmare Wind, which is not what level 60 should be at all. Even without the use of displacement skills, Yabai could pass the level without any injuries. Rumble. After Yabai dodged several rounds of attacks, the ground began to shake violently. A huge flying centipede emerged from the ground and chased Yabai crazily. Each leg would release powerful skills as it advanced. In an instant, countless light groups rushed towards Yabai, as bright as fireworks. Boss, Flying Jade Dragon, Leave 75, current blood volume 2 million, expected to die after 8,495,135 castings. It seemed that Yabai needed to dodge more than 8 million skills, which would definitely take a long time. In fact, the flying centipede has thousands of legs, and every time it moves, it casts 1,000 spells. While it attacks crazily, its own blood volume will also drop rapidly. Come after me. Yabai's figure turned into a breeze and disappeared into the distance. As for the boss on the 11th floor, as long as Yabai runs fast enough, the opponent will catch up faster, cast spells more frequently, and the boss will die faster. The premise is that Yabai is not killed by the boss's attack. Laughing to death, you can't hit it at all. One person and one boss, one chasing and the other running, it is fun and the scene is very harmonious. When walking around most of the map with the boss, a prompt popped up in front of Yabai's eyes. The current exploration level is 80%. Do you want to settle and clear the level? The moment the prompt appeared, everything around him seemed to have pressed the pause button, waiting for Yabai to make a decision. This is not a prompt from the Eye of Insight, but it comes from the Eternal Tower. Yabai nodded slightly and said secretly in his heart, "It's quite humane." In this way, the effect of 80% exploration superimposed on the perfect realm will be directly increased to 90%. That is to say, passing the level from S level to SS level. The rewards have risen to a big level. At the same time, there will be no situation where the 80.1% exploration degree will suffer more than the 80% exploration degree. Of course, Yabai is also aware of his psychology. Some geniuses will attack 95% or even 100% exploration. Although judging from historical experience, they will most likely fail, but this does not hinder their determination to try. No. Yabai refused to clear the settlement with 80% exploration level. Look who can't afford it. If I, Shura, don't clear 4s, am I still a human being? The flying centipede behind him roared again and entered its final violent state. The 1,000 legs swung faster and released skills more frequently. 5 minutes later. 12:58. All humans in the Eternal Tower received a sudden announcement. The player clears the 11th floor of Shura SSSS level and will be rewarded with all human race buffs in the Eternal Tower Parkour Master. Limited time buff Strong Body, Eternal Tower Human Race's movement speed add 30%, limited time 6 hours. Limited time buff Sweeping Weakness. After the death of the Eternal Tower Human Race, they will not enter the weak period after returning to the Eternal Core City. It is limited to 6 hours. Limited time buff Experience Improvement, the Eternal Tower Human Race gains add 25% experience, limited time is 3 hours. Parkour Master, after being hit by a normal attack or skill, there is a 15% chance to dodge, limited to 6 hours. 4's Clearance. This time it came especially quickly, only taking an hour. In fact, if Yabai's initial delay of half an hour is excluded, it only took him less than 30 minutes to complete the level in 4s. Compared to his attribute panel and skills, the difficulty of level 11 is still not impressive enough, and he cleared it 100% easily. After completing the 4's level 11, Yabai received a layer of permanent buff as a personal reward. 100 hits with 100 shots, the 100th cast/attack, with 100% hit effect. This layer of buff is added to Yabai's status bar, which means that it is effective even if he is brought out of the Eternal Tower. From a literal point of view, 100 shots with 100 hits is actually not too powerful. After all, it can only be used once after a total of 99 times. But in battle, the actual combat effect of 100 shots with 100 hits is absolutely perfect. Especially when facing wind-type enemies with high dodge, Yabai has the resources to defeat them. Even if the opponent dodges 99 shots, Yabai can still calmly prepare for the attack and then strike with a thunderous strike. Exist. Have you eaten? If I don't eat, I'll be miserable all day. After closing the status introduction, the white light flashed, and Yabai returned to the Eternal Core City. In the previous battle on the 11th level, he was promoted from level 60 to level 76, his attributes were slightly improved, and the corresponding equipment level was also improved a lot. The equipment Flame Rhythm Leap was also advanced due to completing the advancement conditions. However, the upgraded Fire Rhythm Leap was only level 40. The level gap between it and Yabai was too big, so its effect was naturally much smaller. Although the effect of Fire Rhythm Leap is indeed powerful at the same level, it cannot make up for the level gap. Yabai plans to give the Eternal Tower a good try today, only aiming for a 4's rating, a level up, and no bugs. After clearing the level, Yabai will purchase new equipment and props based on his level. Glancing at the properties panel, there was nothing worthy of Yabai's attention. There were many things to be busy with tonight, so he summoned the Eternal Core Crystal again. Target, the 12th floor. I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible. 48 minutes later. 1:47. The humans in the Eternal Tower were shocked to receive a new announcement. The player clears the 12th floor of Shura SSSS level and is rewarded with the entire Eternal Tower human race. In just 2 hours, 2 4's level clearances. Crazy, all crazy. Countless social media went crazy, and people didn't even discuss the rewards for 4 seconds clearance. They are only curious about one thing. On this crazy night, how many times is Shura going to clear the 4's level?